I am
Sir Morrison Roper, we will begin the next question with you. As New York State Director, how do you plan to expand the current programming, events, and partnerships throughout the state?
Thank you so much for that question. So, the Empire State is already doing meaningful work, right? Um, I think it's going to require some conversation. In my platform, I discuss Empire State Resource Network, right? And so, what does it look like for the Bacilli Roundtable, or basically the Roundtable of Bacilli for the state to be having these open dialogues? So we come to the table today, and we're talking about all the things that you're doing that you're successful in, your wins, right? So you have a program that's super effective. You've been running it for 10 years. You have a partnership that you've been hosting, and you've had that for 15. It already has proven impact. What does it look like for us to scale that on a state level? Move it to all areas of the state. You share your tools, your templates, your best practices. We reduce duplication and we save volunteer time because SOAR's time is something we do not have to waste. We connect chapters to shared community partners, and we circulate grant and sponsorship opportunities. A win for me in my demographic area should be a win for everybody in the state because we have a New York state of mind, right? Things around elevating the bond. What does it look like for us to have joint educational programs together or professional development programming when we all need it and it's in real time and tangible? Um, Sharing resources, right? Collaborative youth engagement opportunities, collegiate transition support, because what our undergraduates need, a lot of the members of Phi Beta Sigma undergraduates are also going to need as well. Reimagine Founders Day collaborations, regional chapter collaborations, and expansion on that. The opportunities are truly endless. I'll end with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Morrison Roper. Soror de Leon, you are up next, and I will repeat the question for you. As New York State Director, how do you plan to expand the current programming, events, and partnerships throughout the state?
Thank you. A part of that speaks to what I mentioned in terms of having a central hub. But outside of that, it's about partnering with our local community, partnering with our local businesses, whether it's a fitness center, wellness center, regular and consistent programming. So professional development, skill-based learning happening in those spaces, hosting community events in those spaces. When we're thinking about what's happening, I mentioned a deed theft earlier, making sure that we are on those community boards, making sure we're going to those meetings and having those conversations, bring those conversations to us. I mean, that is the thing that we can use to help us build on the foundation that we have when we're thinking about organizational growth and expansion. Even in terms of the engagement strategy for members, there should be things that are tailored for engagement for our life members, for our new members, for our amici. When we're thinking about that type of engagement, connecting with the schools, the JUCOs, making sure that there's a pipeline so that we can pull from those spaces. That would help our pipeline in terms of undergrads, as well as growing our amici, right? Strengthening those recruitment pipelines in that space with consistent and structured engagement. Local junior and community colleges can help us feed into that space. And the purpose would be to make sure that we're standardizing those protocols, those legal structures, that branding across New York in different spaces. And it doesn't matter whether you're upstate, downstate. If there's somebody who's a change agent in your chapter, what are the things that they're doing well? How can they model for us? How can they teach us? And making sure that there's room for everybody to serve and support. Because sometimes you've got a lot of talent in the chapter, but because they don't have a title, you might not even see that talent. So bringing those people to the forefront so they can help us model. And I think the strategic partnerships, as well as elevating our members in those spaces, so we have both windows and mirrors, seeing greatness, but also reflecting greatness, is really important. And that's how we can continue to do this work. Thank you.
Thank you, Sir De Leon. Sir Faber, you are up next. I will repeat the question for you. As New York State Director, how do you plan to expand the current programming, events, and partnerships throughout the state?
Thank you for the question. So to expand some of those programs that we currently have throughout the state will involve involvement from all of the geographical areas, making sure that everyone has a seat at the table to be able to take those programmings that may be happening in geographical area 1 and do it in geographical area 5. Having those collaborative conversations where everybody has an opportunity to weigh in on what those programs looks like, makes sure that we're able to replicate it in different regions or have a combined programming that every region can benefit from. Additionally, having strategic statewide partnerships that can benefit all of New York State will allow us to increase visibility and also encourage subject matter expertise for programming that we want to put on, whether it's national initiatives, regional initiatives that we're carrying through, or initiatives that we create on a state level. So being able to partner with women's empowerment group, health and wellness organizations, community foundations, civic engagements, grant funding, all of those things allows everybody to benefit from both programming and partnerships in order to benefit the state overall as a whole.
Thank you, Sora Faber. Sora Leary, you are up next. I will repeat the question. As New York State Director, how do you plan to expand the current programming, events, and partnerships throughout the state?
Thank you for that question. Expanding the current programming is something that is part of my platform. We recognize that our international and regional programs always reflect what goes on at the state level. When you want to expand them, it is going to be something that many organizations are going to want to do with us as members of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, and in addition to members of the Divine Nine. We have other community-based organizations that are ready to partner with us, specifically because of what is going on right now with social action and in the current political arena of our country. We recognize that just last night there was a phone call, and just this past weekend there were phone calls of women getting together, focusing on the Voting Rights Act and what is going on in the South. We recognize that it is time for us to continue to galvanize the state of New York, to make sure that our partnerships assure that those things do not happen in the state of New York. Our events can expand by making sure that we continue again to partner with other organizations that, again, our international level, we really want to do that because it also allows us to get rewarded when it comes to Boulé and at the regional level. Because when we make sure that we partner, it expands our membership, it expands our reach. And so we want to use the sorors in our chapter, we want to use the partners that we know of, and the other organizations that we are a part of and encourage those memberships. So we're just going to increase that communication, increase that collaboration, and just make sure that the partnerships continue to thrive, I believe, as they already are. Thank you.
Sorry about that. Thank you, Sora Leary.